Pokemon. Chances are if you're here with me today, you've heard of it. I mean, it's only one of the biggest franchises in the world. But where did you first hear about it? Was it when you were young? Was it on the playground, from a neighbor, a sibling? Did you watch it on television? Did you play the games, the card game? Did you collect Pokemon toys? Well, how about this? Do you still love Pokemon, even now? Well, I know I do. The images on screen that you're looking at right now are from the Japanese Pokémon Center in Tokyo back in 1999 during the release of Gold and Silver. This was peak Pokemania season in Japan and in the United States as well, and I was only one year old. And I think that's a huge reason why I'm a Pokemon archivist now. I mean, I did spend my very first moments alive staring at Pikachu, even if it wasn't consciously. I like to proudly say that I'm about the same age as the original Pokémon Center in Japan. So I guess it's kind of like fate that that's where our story begins today. I mean, I didn't ever expect to get a giant Suicune, and, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yesterday I arrived home to a really big box. I grew up in Manhattan, New York, and I live in a studio apartment, so when I say this box was big, I mean it really did take up most of my apartment. Pokemon history is something that I've always found to be super interesting, and it's a huge passion of mine. And those who know really anything about me know that I am kind of an expert in the Pokémon Center New York store, so opening that box felt like unwrapping history. On November 16, 2001, the Pokémon Center New York store opened in Rockefeller Center, New York. This Manhattan, New York location was to be the first of several Pokémon Center stores outside of Japan. Unfortunately, though, they never came to be. Regardless, from 2001 to 2005, the Pokémon Center New York store was an incredible place for all things Pokemon, and New Yorkers loved the place. Up until very, very recently, there was hardly anything anywhere about the store, anywhere online, other than through the memories of New Yorkers and other people who had visited this store. And throughout the years, I, as well as several other Pokémon Center New York archivists, have worked our best to archive everything we could about the cards, the Gotta Catch 'em All station upstairs and its distributions, this area with TOMY figures. Really, this store had a lot of merchandise, and I really do mean a lot. And that's exactly where the TOMY Giants fit in, or rather, stuck out. The cool thing about the Pokemon Center New York store was that they had merchandise campaigns that were intersectional, meaning that they would have distributions on the second floor Gotta Catch 'em All station, some toys like figurines, plush, and all sorts of things, and it was very successful. To me, however, the most memorable Pokemon Center New York items sold at the store were its adorable plush. Enter the 2001 Fuzzy TOMY Giants. Certain popular characters were made into these very large plush toys that could cost $130 to $140 USD. And again, this was in 2001, so that was a lot of money back then. Most of these plush were actually movie tie-ins. For example, there was Suicune for the fourth movie, Entei for the third movie, Lugia for the second movie, and so on and so forth. Raikou was actually an interesting one since it was only ever released at the Pokemon Center New York store. It never even went online. After these plush were discontinued in 2003, they became very difficult to find outside of the Pokemon Center New York store, and so, as you could imagine, a lot of collectors, even today, are still looking for them. So what characters count as giants? They are Suicune, Entei, Raikou, Lugia, Latios, Latias, Lapras, Tyranitar, and Snorlax. And there are even differences between the Japanese and American releases, such as Tyranitar's eyes being upside down. So as someone who spent so much time archiving PCNY, I wanted to find one. And I did. As I opened the box yesterday, I felt a wave of excitement wash over me. Really, it was such a surreal experience. After spending 7 years looking for all things PCNY, going to the library, talking to people in person, and scouring the Wayback Machine for anything I could find about Pokemon Center New York, there it was, a big piece of history right in my hands. And even though my Suicune in particular is actually from the Pokemon Center Tokyo store in Japan from 2000-2001, I am still so lucky and so grateful to have found a Suicune Giant at all. Again, guys, This is a very, very rare piece of history. Very few of these giant Poké Plush were ever made, and even fewer of them exist to this day due to mishandling or people just getting rid of them over the years. My Suicune plush still has its tush tag, which is a little tag on the back of its leg that says TOMY. Because this is the Japanese edition, that's what it looks like. Another thing I want to emphasize is just how big Suicune is. This is it on my bed. It's pretty large. Due to the fact that Suicune is a 20-year-old plush, a lot of them have broken back legs that will not stand up on their own. I'm super lucky because mine stands up just fine. My Suicune also doesn't have any issues with the paint on its eyes, or any tears or stains, or really any issues with it. I am super fortunate to even have this plush at all. You see, most Suicune goes for like $3,000 and up these days, and let me be frank, I don't have $3,000. I live in a studio apartment in Manhattan, and this guy is like half the apartment itself. When put next to my Entei plush, my Suicune looks even bigger. This bendable Entei plush from the Pokémon Center NY store next to Suicune is tiny. Small Entei is the tiny version of the Entei giant. But what about the one-to-one plush like Cyndaquil, Pikachu, Totodile, and Chikorita? Well, I am fortunate to have a one-to-one Cyndaquil as well. This Cyndaquil was also sold at Pokémon Center New York, and when you put everybody together, you could really see the size differences. Vintage plush are really, really cool, and yeah, sure, it might be true that these days there are more large life-size plush coming out from Pokémon Center. They're not exactly the same. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching today's video. It means so much to me that you enjoy Pokemon history as much as I do. My name is Julie, and if you liked this video, consider leaving me a follow, or really whatever you'd like. And happy collecting.